Good morning. We continue with our discussion of prayer, and today's topic is adoration. Adoration is spending time with God simply because He's God. It's right to acknowledge God. As creatures, we rely on Him for our very existence each day. He looks at us, so we should look at Him. He thinks of us, so we should think of Him. If God stopped thinking about us, we would cease to exist. So we shouldn't stop thinking about God. You can contemplate God through quiet mental prayer each day. Use the gospel of the day to open up your prayer time with God. Consider the life of Jesus and His words in the gospel for the day. This was described in the bulletin insert on prayer last week. One way of praying with scriptures is called Lectio Divina. Lectio Divina is Latin for divine reading. We will be starting a series on how to pray this week. We'll hear more about that after in the announcements. But Lectio Divina is a way of using scriptures to pray. We can use scriptures as a springboard into adoration, where we consider God and we can listen to Jesus. Saint John Vianney, the patron saint of parish priests, tells a story about how he found this farmer sitting in church. And he said to the farmer, "What are you doing?" And the peasant said, "Well, I'm praying." And John Vianney said to him, "Well, what do you say when you pray?" And the peasant said, "I don't say anything. I look at God and God looks at me." So that's one way of praying. Just look at God each day. Some people say 10 minutes a day to adore God. But your prayer time is very personal, and it depends upon your vocation. What is your vocation? How should you pray? When should you pray? That's dependent upon your vocation and your spirituality. But we have this class coming up to talk about different ways of praying in the Catholic tradition. So you might ask, why do I want to spend time with God? Isn't He a cranky old man? Well, for the Jewish people, they might have asked that question. But for us, we know God through Jesus. Jesus is God. Jesus showed us that God is friendly and generous and patient and forgiving, courageous and sympathetic. He spent time with Mary and Joseph in their home. Jesus spent time with His apostles, His inner core of friends. He spent time with Zacchaeus. And He wants to spend time with you and with me. He was ready to forgive Zacchaeus, though he was a cheater and a bully. Zacchaeus didn't just spend time with Jesus. He invited his friends too. Jesus ate with them together in the house. Adore Jesus, but also invite others to adore Jesus. Pray with your spouse. Pray with your children. Invite others to Sunday Mass. As Catholics, we have a sacramental way to adore God. Adore Jesus inside you after Holy Communion. help others, humble ourselves before Jesus like Zacchaeus did. He humbled himself before receiving Jesus into his home under his roof. At every Mass, we do the same thing. We pray, Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed. We invite Jesus into our body. We receive the host under the roof of our mouth. We also have Eucharistic adoration here at St. Philip Neri on Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we have Eucharistic adoration where we can come and adore Jesus. Come on Fridays to adore Jesus and bring a friend.